Welcome to episode number 179 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording on October the 2nd, 2022. My name is Eric, host of the show based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator. I know that one's shocking to everybody, and computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events, started a small preparedness company to help people get prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And my name is Jeff. I am based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
My name is Pierre. I'm a beard owner, shirt designer, and government hater.
I'm Greg. I'm in Southeast Georgia, former U.S. Army infantryman, avid prepper, and whiskey enthusiast.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Josh, National Guardsman, Fire Marine, hunter, fisher, prepper with background in power generation, aviation, and homeland security risk management.
All right, if you want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, we've got some swag. We've got the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the Tactical Velcro patch available at prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help keep the lights on and the backup generator fueled.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and like us on Facebook and submit a review on iTunes. Also, we want your feedback, good or bad, or just if there's a topic you want us to cover. Please email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some warming content for you in this episode. Yeah, I couldn't come up with anything better. It's pretty weak, but hey.
Yeah, pretty cheesy, yeah.
We're going to start off with some recent news articles. Then we'll update you on our personal preparedness. Then we're going to get into the main topic, keeping warm in grid down, because Old Man Winter is around the corner. Let's get into some news, shall we?
So I've got a couple quick articles here. Not surprising, they're weather related. Protests are starting to break out as most of Cuba is still without power. That's not shocking. I mean, their infrastructure and all of that is pretty bad. But yeah, in the country of their size right now, most of the country of about 11 million people still don't have electricity. It's been, 5 days since Ian took a swipe at the island there. And it was only part of the island that got hit, the western end. But the rest of it, they keep saying, oh, well, we've restored 60% of Havana and 88% of another province that's totally on the other side of the island that really didn't even get any damage from the storm. So this kind of shows how bad things are down there.
So they're just resorting the power at the resorts so people travel there and can hopefully boost the economy?
Yeah, hopefully. And then another interesting story. It's from CNN. I know, just slow down, hold off. A solar-powered off-grid community on the outskirts of Fort Myers survived Hurricane Ian with minimal damage. They still have power and are functioning. It's a fairly interesting bit of a read. So have a look at it. I just thought that, shows if you're prepared and you're ready to go, good things can happen.
Nice.
But I didn't put much in there. I posted about how the Pope warns of nuclear war risk, but all it is him asking for a ceasefire, imploring Putin to stop the spiral of violence and death in Ukraine, and denouncing the absurd risk of the uncontrollable consequences of nuclear attacks as tensions sharply escalate over the war. So with that being said, the risk is always there, but maybe not as pronounced as people think. Oh my God.
I don't know. He's been saber rattling a lot the last several days. I mean, they did that, basically the farce of the those 4 counties, whatever they were, that they took over, and It's kind of a sham vote anyways, but he's more or less said it's now part of Russia, and if you touch it, we'll bomb you. So
yeah, but you take everything with a grain of salt, especially with people who are just trying to intimidate and bully. And it's one of those things. It's like it. So I don't know if anybody here has a nuclear background or a ballistics background, but if it go in order to do something like that, it's going to have a lot of hang time in the air. So I can or cannot speak to what assets are over there. I mean, I'm knocking on wood right now, but let's just say it wouldn't happen.
That's a good way of putting it. Oh, fair enough. With that, should we move into what we've done lately for preps?
Sure. So I was finally able to get my hands on, well, I don't have my hands on it yet, an All-American pressure canner. I've been trying to find one for a while. They're hard to come by, and if you can find one, people are trying to rob you for your firstborn to get one. Thanks to Pierre, who's on our podcast here tonight, who I bought it in his area. He's gone, picked it up for me, and he's coming down our way in a week or so, and I'll meet up with him and pick it up. So I'm kind of excited to get going on that a little bit. So thanks for that, Pierre.
No worries. Awesome. It may or may not come with previously canned stuff trialed on it. Mel was like, hey, can we try it?
If you guys want to try it out, give it a shot. I got no problems with that.
So if Mel's listening tonight, I'm sure I'll have to buy some more cans tomorrow. Try it out.
That's awesome. It's about time you found one. I know it's been quite the hunt. For myself, we redid the NVIS ham radio test. So in August, we had initially done a test. We put the information out on the Discord. So if you're on there, you had all the info and the frequencies we were testing on. It didn't go overly well in August. We rejigged a few things, tried it out the other day, and we were successful on 40 meters. So was able to make contact with an operator in Alliston and another one in Renfrew from here in Aurelia. And it went really, really well. And we actually switched over from our NVIS antennas, which are antennas that are basically really low to the ground. So mine was about 3 feet sloping up to 7 feet. Switched over to the full height antenna at one point. We weren't able to hear each other at all, but back down to the low height antennas and crystal clear audio on all ends. So it was kind of neat to see how that worked. And we're going to continue on with testing that and hopefully try to get a few more operators in so that we can see exactly the distance that we can get with this setup. And the whole idea is just for close field communications where it's not line of sight. So UHF, VHF isn't going to work, but you still want to be able to talk to your buddy that's, a couple of towns over. You can do that using this kind of setup. It's from what I've read, it's good for about 500-ish kilometers. So far, we're proving that right. So it was good and it went well. As well, set up a new reseller account with EMP Shield. So if anybody is interested in EMP Shield products, let me know because I'm able to get those now. And had a quick meetup with Brad, who's a panelist here. So met up for coffee, swapped off some stuff that he was looking to pick up, and just talked about preparedness and made fun of Pierre a little bit because why not?
It's the beard. Everybody's jealous.
Not gonna lie, yes. Yeah.
So it looks like I skipped the line here. Instead of being after Pierre, I put myself after Eric. But what I did was clean the garage, and in my opinion, it might not sound like a prep, but it is when you need to find tools in the dark or something quickly in the dark or something like that, because the organization helps you be more efficient and proficient, especially when power's out or, like I said, you're in the dark or you really need to get something up and running like right now because it's life or death. But that's what I did.
I totally agree that organizing definitely counts as a prep because, like you said,
yep.
If you don't know where your stuff is in a shit hit the fan type of situation, it ain't going to help you if you don't know where it is. So I'd count that as a prep for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since you cleaned the garage, how many 10 mil sockets do you have now?
Same amount. I don't lose my tools because I was a flat rate technician for automobiles. So
you don't lose stuff being flat rate. That's for damn
nope,
sure.
because then you got to buy it again, and a Snap-on 10 mil is like $20, even quarter-inch drive.
Jeez, yeah.
They didn't take your like social security number, nothing like that. Your firstborn child. The Matco guy got me. That's why I ain't got no kids. They took it on the Matco truck.
Yeah. But if you're willing to just pay, they don't ask for any questions.
Yeah.
If you want to put it on credit, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I walked on the Matco truck, looking for a ratchet. I walked off with $10,000 in debt. Like,
that's it.
That'll happen.
All I got was a toolbox and a 10 mil.
Oh well. I would say I walked off with a scanner, and it cost me about $7,200.
Yeah, luckily enough for me, when I was working in a shop, the scanner was there.
Supplied.
So yeah, so I lucked out on that one. I worked at a dealership during this time, so
did I.
I got lucky.
It's faster when you have your own. You ain't got to worry about sharing it.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not spending $7,000 on somebody else's convenience though.
No, me neither.
All right, Greg, you're up.
All right. What I've done here lately is I've been working on training for a tactical shooting competition called the Tactical Games. It's more run and gun, and it's basically a stress shoot on steroids. Been working on my knife making skills and did a little bit of vehicle maintenance.
Nice.
So after last week's episode, we ended up reorganizing the kitchen, pantry, the giant shelf of spices we have at our place. Started doing a few things to close up the camper for the winter, and we did the water swap out. So we have a King Berkey and about, I'd say 15 5-gallon jugs for our water machine, as well as the manual pumps we have. So we kind of took a few out from the basement over the last week or so and kind of used up all the stuff we've stocked up in the last 5-6 months. Use them all up, and then starting to refilter water to put back downstairs and keep 8-9 jugs away for a cold rainy day, and swapping out all the other ones. So yeah,
nice. All right, well, with that, how about we move into the main topic? So this evening we are talking about keeping warm in a grid down type of situation. So it kind of comes to mind with Old Man Winter coming around the corner here. Not shockingly, it's going to start getting a little chilly, but this could also apply to really any season. In the evening, it could drop down to some cooler weather. Doesn't really matter what time of the year it is, but specifically around this time of the year, if you get into a grid down type of situation, no power, no heat, at least not from electricity, furnaces, all that kind of stuff that the modern conveniences we're used to having. We wanted to do an episode and touch on just keeping warm in that kind of event in case you happen to come across it. So I'll open it up to the panel for comment, and then we can go from there. I'm sure we'll get some tangents along the way.
Yeah, I'll start off. So obviously in a grid down situation, options are somewhat limited. Obviously your best option is a wood stove. No electricity is required for any part of it. They are always not an option for everybody. Obviously you live in a condo or some kind of a building where that's not an option. If you have access to electricity, a generator, you've got a solar system with batteries set up, you could use something that requires electricity. Just be sure that you're not consuming more power than you're able to recover, or it'll run out pretty quick on you if you're not paying attention. Pellet stove would be probably the best option in that case. They don't draw that much power. They put out some good heat. You fill up the hopper and it'll last you for probably a good day or more. So you're not running around. Other options for smaller rooms is what they call a buddy heater. So they're a propane powered small heater. They say they are safe for indoor use. They have a tip over shutoff valve as well as a low oxygen shutoff. I will caveat that with the obvious note. And if I didn't, I'm sure Alan would want to take a round out of me, which is to always have a working CO detector in the room that you intend to use it in.
Well, there you go. 15 minutes and 25 seconds for those keeping track.
Yeah.
I did attach a link to a YouTube video that'll be in the show notes. And the guy explains it pretty well and has it down there. So I've thought about them, but I mean, obviously I've got the wood stove, so I'm not in any concern about it. For those that don't know, I have had my wood stove for many years. My house is electric only. I don't have gas. I've thought about propane. It's still on the list, but right now I'm electric only. So, and I can say reasonably that I haven't turned on my electric baseboard in probably 4 years. So,
Nice.
Make sure you service the thing before you do.
Yeah. Yeah, for those not familiar with pellet stoves, can you touch on that quickly, Jeff? Just kind of what they are, what they're used for.
Yeah, well, basically, so you buy the pellets at any of the pretty well anywhere, Home Depot, Canadian Tire, those kind of places. You fill a hopper on the top of your stove, and it has an electric auger that the pellets go down into, and they're fed into just a small, can't think of the word right
chamber.
Now, but yeah, and that's where your fire is. You do have to, get it lit, and then it'll just slowly auger the extra stuff in there. It'll keep it lit, and it's just like a wood stove to a point. But you do have to use proper pellets. I wouldn't suggest making your own. You got to keep them dry. But the other option is you don't have the dust of a wood stove, no bugs, no potential of that getting into your house. But they're nice. They're handy. They just burn electricity.
Yeah.
How often do you clean your stack?
Pardon?
How often do you clean your stack? Chimney.
My chimney, usually 3 times a year. I do it summer or spring when the season's over. I do it again in the fall just to make sure that nothing's built a nest in there or done anything in there. Sometimes I don't do it in the fall because it's already been done in the spring. I'll just have a look at it, make sure it's clean and everything. And then I'll usually do it every 30 to 45 days. I'll get up there and give it a quick clean out.
Oh, that's good. Prevents the whole possibility of it catching fire on you, right? Because that's kind of counterproductive.
Yeah. You want fire, not that kind of fire.
Exactly. Yep. You don't want
Depends
your whole place
how fast
being on
you want the place to heat up.
fire. This is true.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it depends if you want somewhere to keep warm afterwards, though.
Nope.
Yeah, that's true. So obviously, you also have the options of sectioning off areas of the house that you aren't using or are underused, if I want to put it that way, and just heat the needed areas. Close doors, put towels under the door to keep the cold air out. Just try to make sure you're not closing off areas where your water supply may freeze. That may cause more problems than good for you, but depending on how long the power is out and whatever the situation is, it may be inevitable that happens. And an option for...
It's a good point to kind of plan around now while times are good, what room you're going to use, how you're going to heat things. And yeah, that's a great point on even just storing your water in a location that you are able to keep even just above freezing, right? It's a good point that a lot of people don't necessarily think of. Like Pierre was saying earlier, he stores his water in the basement. Everybody gets used to wherever you've stored your water, and all of a sudden you're hunkering down in the room, keeping it warm, and you realize, the basement's frozen.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
So that's a really good point.
Yeah. And another option, if you kind of don't have anything else, is a terracotta, or basically a clay planting pot type heater. Basically, you turn it upside down, raise it up a few inches off the ground with non-combustible products, and put a bunch of tea candles underneath it, light it, and the tea candles will heat up the pot, and the pot will radiate heat. It's not the best thing, but if it's going to save your life, it's well worth it. And just to piggyback on the topic there that Eric mentioned, I said choose a room or area that you feel is best for retaining or being able to keep warm. While heat rises, is the basement a good place to be? The ground will moderate the temperature, while the upstairs that is exposed to the elements, possibly a strong windstorm if you've got that or whatever, could be more difficult to heat and stay warm.
That's another good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never even considered that. Yeah, it's the ground's kind of semi-controlled, at least. It's going to kind of work its way out itself. And then, yeah, you're not battling the elements or anything crazy like wind-wise or weather-wise blowing at the upper levels of your home. That's a good point.
No, and all
Yeah,
depending.
a lot of No, go ahead, Pierre.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just saying, if you've got a certain section of the house that gets very good radiant heat sunlight, could be an option, right? Like, why use up more of your supplies or more tea candles or whatever, right? If you've got an area of the house that gets very good sunlight, right, even during a crazy strong wind or whatever, but if the sun's out, you've got good heat there. Might be good to kind of make a sealed up area there where you can use a lot of nature to use a little bit of warming, keep you warm, or your supplies warm at least.
That's a really good point. We've got one room here that with the sun up, it gets ridiculously hot in that room. And then we found we put a blackout curtain on the window as well. So that's the room that the little one naps in. And we found that with that blackout curtain, and it's just completely black as well, it obviously absorbs the heat of the sun as well. And the heat radiates into the room so much more with that on the window. It's crazy how warm it makes the room. So there's another idea for anybody looking for ways to warm up a room. Works incredibly well. It's counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish in the room, but if it was a grid down situation, it would work very, very well.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, Pierre. I actually never even thought of that. Somewhere where you've got the thermal mass and the temperature or the sunlight blowing through. Yeah, you're right. It can warm up a room incredibly quickly.
Yep.
All right. Eric, are you next? Where am I?
Yeah, you can throw some stuff out there, Josh.
All right, let's go for it. So, personally, I have a backup generator, but you can only, if the power's out here, the power's probably out at the gas station too. So you gotta have fuel on hand and rotate that out constantly. So it's one of those pain in the butt things. But I also have propane in my house. I have a propane fireplace, but it needs electric to run. So it's like, what do you do? But I went back to the basics on this one, a smaller scale. So the most simplest form of heat retention that I could think of is a space blanket. Of course, everybody should have one of those in their EDC kit and all that stuff, just in case. But also using layers of clothes. Don't forget, you don't want to sweat because then you'll induce hypothermia. Hypothermia is also a big killer, and even though it's cold, hint, stomping on the ground. Don't forget to hydrate even if it's cold, because you can still dehydrate. And where did I leave off? Another trick is for your fingertips and toes, if you stick them in the crevices of your body or somebody else's body, because obviously you can't stick your toes in your own crevices, but your armpits.
You should do more stretching.
Yoga.
I'm going to suggest asking permission before you stick anything in anybody else's crevices.
I'd say crevices, not cavities. So if you stick your fingertips in your armpits or the back of your knees and sit down, Remember to keep moving though for circulation, but it'll keep the tips of your fingers from going numb and getting frostbitten. And the same thing with your toes. That works as well. So you got your armpits, back to your knees, and your groin. Your groin emits a lot of heat as well because, well, it's going to keep everything warm. And your bladder is down there, which uses a lot of heat because your urine has to stay warm. Otherwise, it'll cause infections and all that stuff. And the last one that I had was just getting the buff and spoon with somebody, because when you're undressed and it's body to body heat, you generate twice as much and you can feed off each other. But you will produce a lot of condensation, and condensation is not good because it can induce respiratory problems because you're going to constantly breathe it in, and then hypothermia on top of that. So remember to cover with a wool blanket or lay on a wool blanket to let that wick away from you. But just simple things, keeping it basic.
That's good. Chris in the live chat has a good question here. Just asking, why use a clay pot with candles? Flame generates heat. Clay does not add any. Is it to stop the heat from escaping up? So the idea there is the heat builds up in the clay pot and then radiates off the clay pot into the room. So it's just a way of getting the heat to radiate out into the room instead of, like you kind of mentioned in your question here, instead of it just going up, and they're just small little candles. So the heat going up into the ceiling, it's not going to really dissipate into the room very well, but using the clay pot to warm it up, it then radiates it out in like a 360-degree fashion into the room, and then warms the room up quite nicely.
And clay will retention heat a little bit. So that candle that would last 3 hours, the clay pot heating under that 3 hours will give you 4.5, 5 hours of heat. It may not add a lot, but I mean, an extra hour of heat can make a giant difference depending on the scenario.
Have you all ever heard of some primitive ways of people doing it, and they actually used say a branch that you had in the fire and it's still embering, but there's no open flame. It doesn't last as long, but it emits a lot of heat, but you have to be able to control the base that it's on and stuff. I've seen it. I've never really researched it because of safety wise, but I mean, it seems like it's feasible.
Yeah, I could see it being feasible. Like you said, as long as you keep control of it, because if that ember goes the wrong spot, obviously you're heating things up a little bit more than you want to. But
yeah.
So make sure you have up-to-date insurance if you want to test this theory out.
Yeah,
Which one?
Let them know you're going to be testing said theory.
Yeah,
Well, you guys have insurance?
Don't tell them anything. Just say, like, I don't know what happened.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that works as well. Yeah. Freya's got a comment in the live chat here. Kind of goes back to your primitive ways of doing things. Is heat rocks in the fire, then take the hot rocks to bed with you under the blankets. The heat lasts a long time. So that's a good point. Maybe a little bit safer as well than taking the amber with you.
Yeah.
You just got some warm rocks out of the fire. You know, you don't want them to be too hot where you're scalding yourself, but kind of the same principle, I would think, as the clay pot, except it's the rocks, and I've heard of that being done before.
Yeah, I've seen that method used for boiling water. If you don't have anything that is flame resistant to put over a fire, you take a hot rock, you put it in the water, a clean hot rock, of course, and it'll boil for the time amount of need as long as it's hot enough, and then you have drinkable water.
Well, that's neat. I haven't heard of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never tried that.
Oh, that's a good one.
But the a lot of the First Nations people, when they do their sweat lodges and that kind of stuff, that's what they do. They heat the rocks and then they take them inside the tent in a safe spot and pour the water over them, and it actually acts just like a sauna.
We've got a couple suggestions in the live chat from Scott and Jessica, who are pretty much on the same wavelength here. They mentioned hot water bottle in your bed. So, yeah, that works. Jessica kind of adds with the hot water bottle at your feet. Yeah, I think that's a good one as well. It's a good way to kind of keep things warm. So if you can get water heated up, then why not?
And also make very sure you put the lid on the bottle before you decide to go to bed.
Yes. And
That's
do
a
not
waterbed.
stick your finger in it.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
And just piggyback on what Pierre said quite a while ago. I was just thinking, I was thinking things like a hot water bottle or even just a bottle of water. Set it on the shelf or on the edge of a window that's exposed to the bright sunlight. It'll heat up pretty quick, and then you've got a water bottle, basically a hot water bottle.
Yeah.
And also at that point, take your close to your heat source or whatever. If you've got, I don't know about Mylar bags, but any rice or beans that you might have wouldn't be much different than all those heat packs you can buy to warm up. You know, when you're not feeling well, a hot pack on your head or on your stomach, depending when you have whatever. Use whatever resources you have to maybe even heat those up for even when you go to bed, right? If you don't have a decent water bottle, but you can throw some rice bags by your feet that are kind of warm. I mean, they might not stay as warm as
Yeah, it wouldn't be nothing to do that. Just take a pillowcase off your pillow or something, fill it up with rice, and throw it over your wood stove.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
With Jeff in the live chat here, just mentions a safety tip. If you're going to take those rocks that we were talking about and heat them up, don't take rocks that have been in the water. They'll explode, apparently. So, it's probably a good idea to not do that. You don't want them blowing up. So
I will let you know in a week or two. I want to see this.
Sounds like experiment time for next show.
I think it does sound like a good experiment to see what they do. Yeah.
Yeah. But
challenge
good to
accepted.
know.
Yeah.
No, but
maybe that's the podcast challenge for this episode.
Yeah. Biggest rock explosion.
Yep. Hey, Greg, you had a couple things to throw in?
Yep. To bounce off what Jeff said on the wood burning stove being the go-to, for me, 100% agree with that. Second one I would go for would be like a kerosene heater. It's got usually they have like a little cage around them and everything. You can cook on top of them, whatnot. Obviously, be smart about it. Know what you're doing. Make sure it's clean, of course. If you're having to break it out, obviously it's probably been in storage. Another thing is, we've talked about layering, and I think we need to remember that the way you layer is just as important as the layering itself. You don't want articles of clothing that are going to be like super tight. The baggier, the better, because what that does is that actually creates like an air pocket between the article of clothing and your body. So your body is going to heat up that air pocket or air bubble and help keep you warm, trapping that warm air, inside. Also, bouncing off of Jeff again here, is the Terracotta Pots thing. You can get like the medium size planter pots. If you've got a wife like I have, you're probably going to have a hallway closet filled with candles from Bath and Body Works. So you can do the same thing, raise it up. It's just a larger pot, larger candle. It's just use what you have, obviously. Don't go out to Bath and Body Works and spend $20 on candles. That's one
Something's
candle.
Gotta smell good though.
Yeah, right.
I hope she's watching this show so you can get some brownies.
She's in the comments right now.
She actually mentions if you're going to use a kerosene heater in the house, make sure your carbon monoxide detector is working. So I'm sure Alan is doing the happy dance right now, listening to the number of times we have mentioned carbon monoxide in this episode.
Yeah, Alan and Ian are both gone. Where are they?
They are, yeah. If you haven't noticed, it's 34 minutes in. I think it's long enough now that they think that we are not going to chirp them. They are not here, and yeah, we'll leave it up to everybody to try to figure out where they actually are because they decided to ditch us this evening.
Where's Carmen Sandiego?
Yep.
Are we talking about two different people or the same person?
Well, you know, that's up to you. Whatever you,
Well,
whatever you
that
believe.
is the $1 million question.
Oh man.
I mean, I've never personally seen them in the same spot at the same time. I mean,
Nor have I.
just saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's like professional level there.
It is. It is very professional level. And the one meeting that we were all supposed to have, where they were all going to be in the same room together, got canceled last minute. So that's shady too.
But
Yeah, they're one person.
By which one? By which
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
One
Yes.
of the two, right?
Yeah, one of the two canceled it. Yep, that's right. Yep.
One of the
Claimed
two
had to-
or both. I don't know.
claimed he had to work. Yep. Hmm. I like the story. We're on to you, gentlemen. We know you're one. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, back on the topic here. Pierre, you had a couple of points.
Yeah, so I think it was last year we bought a Princess Auto Campwood stove. So it's one of the ones that are designed to go into those tarp tents or camping tents or whatever. So we actually haven't cracked the box open, but I'm thinking that it would be a good thing to maybe crack it out and see about looking at options of we've got a bunch of windows in the house, so figuring out that one nice area that gets good constant, solar heat and sealing up one of the windows, obviously safely with all the proper stuff that, 10, 15, 20 minutes, we can, put this piece of wood and this cutout area or whatever is needed to be able to, make sure that the house doesn't burn down in that scenario, have wood already probably set in the garage. Since we're going to be burning inside the house, have a good CO2 issue or a CO2 detector. Also looking at, wherever that area is, tarp off the area. So I have a few good tarps, blankets, something that, if it's going to be your living room and the living room is half of your house, you might not need that whole half of the area. So tarping off an area that you can try and contain the heat in a specific area. Obviously set that door where you cross certain parts of it where you can get out if needed. But, as you're doing all this, bring most of the supplies that you're probably going to need. Especially if you're setting up a specific area you want to stay in, bring most of your supplies that you'll need for a day or two. Avoid, going in and out, and losing some of that heat that you can keep in there. And, yeah. Like we've always got a bin or two that, are marked for, if you can only grab one thing and walk out, this is the bin you grab. But if you've got other stuff, right? So lots of lots of your warm clothes stuff, preset in bins that, okay, get everything in there. Put the stove in, bring all the wood you got laying around, make sure it's nice and sealed and enjoy the ride. That's all I'm thinking.
Have you all used those hot hands?
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they last a while, but they also have ones that are made for your boots.
Yeah,
Use
I
them
was
on-
just thinking that too.
Wet, rainy. Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Actually,
Wet,
those are probably
rainy
going to come on
range boots.
sale real soon at Costco. They go on Costco.
Most likely.
I buy a box every year.
Every year. Yep.
Every year.
Yeah, they're nice to have.
Yep. Oh, they're handy.
Mhm.
They're great to have. Yep.
I've always
Good to
got
have
them in
the
my.
EDC.
I always have them in my bag in my truck, my hunting bags, always in the car. They're just fantastic to have. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I feel like we're missing the most important one though.
All right, go for it.
To keep your face warm, what do you got to do? Grow a
You don't want my
wonderful
opinion
beard.
on that.
Grow a wonderful beard.
Magical beard. Yep.
Yep.
I don't have a beard.
You're
This is
enjoying
a
it. You don't
saddle.
count. You're
I
enjoying
don't.
it.
I don't.
Keep
I don't
warm.
Well,
have
I'm not
it.
sure. I'm not sure Eric could count his as a beard either, but
Oh, hey, easy there. Easy there. Wow.
I mean, we got a guy from Georgia on the show who is talking about keeping warm
I mean, yeah, but I don't think you were here. I'm originally from Vermont. Last 4th of July, I ran past the Canadian border.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now
so
you're
is
in
it
trouble.
closer? Is it colder in Georgia compared to Vermont normally?
No, not at all.
That's
I
what I
think they're
thought.
not at all. I'm just kind of stuck here right now. I was originally I'm from Vermont, grew up in Tennessee, and then ended up stationed in Vermont or in Georgia. I'm sorry. So,
You
yeah,
never left base.
Oh yes. Also,
So we've got a good point here, or a question actually that is kind of getting my mind working here from Scott in the live chat, who I will call out for not being on the episode this evening, but still decides to hang out in the live chat. Yes, we know that it's you, Scott. Uh, says he's been musing about running hot water into his AC, so his air conditioning lines, and having a heat source inside my furnace. Just need the power for the fan and move the heat from the AC heat exchanger. I guess that could, in theory, that could work.
so
Not
that's
an
actually how
HVAC tech.
my furnace actually works on that. So I've
Ah.
got a hot water tank, and the hot water will run constantly, and it runs through my furnace to keep hot water, which I didn't know existed until we moved to where we are now.
It sounds
Um,
almost like homemade geothermal heating.
Yeah. Right. So like my hot water tank and my furnace are right next to each other, and like it comes out of the hot water tank. So I use more propane in the winter than in the summer because I don't need heat in the summer. But I mean, I don't even know if you'd need to use. I mean, I guess AC lines, but I mean, you'd have to have it running through your. Maybe not through everything, but I mean, there's probably a way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that would work, but there's a way to do
Yeah,
it. I mean, my heat runs that way.
I don't know how it would work for your AC lines though. I mean, you'd have to obviously bleed the lines out, and
Yeah.
whether you tried to find another type of. I mean, at worst case scenario, a car radiator, just run the hot water through it and a fan underneath it, and
Yeah.
I know my neighbor has one of those outdoor wood
those things are
furnaces,
awesome.
they call them, and that's basically how it works. Is the furnace, the heat source is outside, it heats the water, and then the pump pumps it through the I guess the heat exchanger, whatever you want to call it, and the fan blows it up, and it heats his place. The problem is that that thing runs on 220,
Power, right?
and it sucks
Mm.
a fair bit of electricity to.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm quite sure you could gerrymander a way to maybe have a 12-volt pump or a small solar pump that's not as pressurized that you could use, but I mean, it's a good idea. The thought process is there. I think he's on the right road. I'm just not sure your AC line is the way to do it, but
No, I think you'd have to run a separate line on top of your AC line to make it work, right? Because like you said,
Yeah.
you'd have to bleed the gas out. You'd have to have a whole other separate system for it.
Yeah.
But you could have something similar to that, but I don't think through your actual AC lines, if you've got central air in your house, would be the way to go, because then you'd be calling a technician every spring and every fall,
Yep.
right, to do that whole swap out of whatever sorts. But yeah,
But it's kind of a way to kind of get you thinking outside the box, though. It could certainly be a way that you can set things up if you really want to set your entire house up for a grid down type of situation. You have a way to power that fan. Yeah, it could work.
if you're an HVAC tech, I mean, this is probably simple math to you.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, any HVAC techs out there that want to help Scott out, feedback at prepperpodcast.ca.
Yeah.
Chris in the live chat is mentioning a product that sounds kind of interesting. Says got a product called Body Comfort a few years ago. They're reusable pocket heaters for hands and feet. Bag with a liquid and a piece of metal inside. Once you snap the metal, it heats the bag. And he goes on to continue to say, it lasts up to 30 minutes. Then at home, you have to boil the bag for 20 minutes and it's ready again. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. So Mel got me, I want to say a year or so ago. I haven't tried it out yet, but it's a similar to a pocket warmer or whatever, but it runs off Zippo fluid. You fill
Oh,
it up. It's a hand warmer. It looks like a giant Zippo. You fill it up, light it up, and it keeps a very small flame. You can throw it in your pocket, and it doesn't burn you. It doesn't catch you on fire or whatever. But it's pretty much a reusable hand warmer. We haven't
I saw that.
needed to use it.
Huh.
Yeah, like we haven't needed to use it, and I'm like now I'm thinking more that I'm like I should try that.
Yeah.
But it is, yeah. It's I don't know, about the size of a pack of smokes, if I was to say in relation to everything. But like, yeah, it's nice silver. Fill it up with Zippo fuel, which is easy to keep stock of, in the
Yep.
back corner in your garage. And yeah, I mean that could be hours of heat for pennies on the dollar compared to a lot of things. So I will obviously get back
It's
to
a
you
neat
because we're
setup.
going to try that out real soon.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. That's a neat
Yeah.
little setup.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's like we bought it mostly for hunting, right? Like my fingers get
Right.
very cold very easily. So
Yep.
I'm like just something in your pocket that'll keep warm that you can keep putting your hand in without having to make, a bunch of noise, opening up packs,
Yep.
shaking packs to keep them warm compared to the pocket heaters or the hand warmers or whatever. It's something you light it before you go and you're good for a few hours. You tuck your
Yep,
hands
I'd have
in
to
keep
get
it
over
warm.
the whole throwing a flame in my pocket. That's a little different. But,
Yeah,
can I pull a
so,
flame
like,
out and throw it after? Does it work like that or no?
I don't know. I'll find it and I'll show you.
All
Like,
right,
yeah,
perfect.
it's literally designed to like just throw in your pocket. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'm kind of hesitant too because I'm like a lot of hunting stuff is kind of like that polyester stuff where it would, like
Yep.
melt and set on fire real fast.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know, but yeah, it's that's another option as well, right? Depending if you properly stock up on, I mean, how much Zippo fuel nowadays? I don't even know. Probably still way cheaper than gas. But,
I'd assume so. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, and she also mentions be smart and go buy heated jackets.
Yep. Yeah, it's just powered. Powered by a battery, right?
Yeah, so we have the Milwaukee 12 volts. But there's lots of options out there depending. Like we have mostly Milwaukee tools for powerless or cordless, sorry. But if I'm not mistaken, Brad last year bought a heated sweater off of Amazon that just put like a battery power pack.
Yep.
So we've got I don't know, 8-9 power banks in the house that are pretty much always charged. So you can throw one of those power banks and we'd be good for 4 or 5 of them are 20,000-30,000 milliamps. A few
Now,
of
is
them
that
are
like
10,000. It's like
Is that like a Mr. Rogers sweater with a battery pack in it, or is it like?
no, just it's a regular zip up in the middle, and like it's got this pocket in the back that you just plug a USB in, and as long as it's a battery pack, I want to believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like $60-70 to buy on Amazon,
Bad.
which is not bad considering like
Not
the
bad.
Milwaukee ones are 140 and they don't come with the battery. I'm like, I already
Yep.
got like 8 battery packs at home, so I'm like, kind of goes as a no-brainer, but it's not a bad
Milwaukee,
option.
you're just paying for the name at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So question then: how long would one of those battery packs last? 5, 6? Would you get 6, 7 hours out of it on low setting, maybe?
Yeah, depending on the setting, yeah, for sure. Like I'd
nice.
have to, yeah, like they're actually pretty decent. And Brad, like, next time Brad's on or we chat with him or whatever, he could go into more details. But he wore it last year, and in winter he was on, a forklift and in the cold for a few hours, and he's like, pop that thing on medium, and he was toasty warm. Like, yeah, depending on the power battery pack you have, whatever it is, at 10,000, 20,000 and up, and how good it is, the settings. On low, I think it'll last like pretty much like 14, 15 hours.
Yeah, you can even schedule it to like just put enough heat on to warm your core for a minute, and then turn it off, and it'll last longer.
Yeah, it's got 3 settings, like low, medium, high, right? So if you're outside in like -50 weather, and you're only out there for like 2 hours, put it on high and like drain the battery. But yeah, they're not a bad option. Looking into it,
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
yes, you need.
Yeah, I've heard of the heated gloves. A couple people on our snowmobile club have a heated glove, and it just kind of the same thing. You slide a battery in it, the cuff, and it's got a button
Yeah.
on it, and yeah,
Yeah, those aren't cheap, but yeah, you can buy knockoff compared to whether it be Milwaukee, DeWalt. I think Rigid, like I'm pretty sure almost all companies that make power tools have a jacket or sweater of some sort. But yeah, I think on Amazon you can buy just I don't want to say a knockoff, but just one that you can put a battery bank in, which almost all of us have them.
That's a really good
another
option.
thing.
Yeah.
it's certainly
Heated
something interesting to
socks.
look at. Yeah,
Yes, heated socks. Yes, absolutely.
So I think we got ours for like next to nothing because we waited for them to go on sale at Cabela's, and they take 3, either AA or AAA's. I don't remember. They sit up high or whatever. I'm like, so if you prepped properly, sorry, you've got lots of batteries that I'm like keeping your feet warm and your hands warm. I was like, it's 90% of the battle in my opinion.
Yep.
Painful bandages.
Yeah, if it was at Cabela's, I think those usually run double A's.
Yeah, I think so.
Everything, yeah, I used to work there when I lived back in Tennessee for a little bit, and if I remember correctly, those were double A's.
I think
I had a
they
pair.
are.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Josh.
I had a pair my dad got me when I was like 14 or 15 for hunting, and they took the big C batteries. So you had 2 C batteries hanging off your leg. That's why I snickered when you brought that up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I remember those things.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they're double A's because I think we bought them a few years ago for the mother-in-law and her boyfriend because they were hunters, and they're like, oh, my feet get warm. I'm like, oh, these, like, they were on sale. I think it was like $10 a pair, right? Like, they might not be that price at peak season, but like, in the spring into summer, they try and sell off all their winter stuff. If you can hold off till then, like, fantastic price.
I feel like I almost had to wear.
Comfortable.
I feel like I almost had to wear shirt stays to keep the socks up.
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
probably Josh, something like this. This is exactly it. It's got the pouch on the side.
Yep.
It's fairly big. It takes, I believe you're right, a C battery or something.
Yep.
My mom bought these for me when I moved up north and started to want a snowmobile. She's like, you're gonna need something for keep your feet warm. But you're right, the big honking battery on the side.
Yeah.
It's quite uncomfortable, but it would work.
All really good points. I didn't even consider about the battery powered clothing, but the way technology is going, why not take advantage of it in your preps and have something that can keep you warm very easily with a little battery connected to it, and you can stock up on batteries now, so you could be good for a considerable amount of time if you know that this is something that you want to start preparing for. So
yeah,
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
it's good.
Yeah, so the ones we have, they take 3 trip AA's, sorry, and they just go in this little sleeve very nicely, and you put the sock on, and there's a little auxiliary jack, I guess you could say. You got a strap that's pretty stretchy. You can put it somewhere comfortable on your leg where it's not going to fall down, and pair of socks and 2 of these, give or take $10. AA's, I'm like, fairly common. You can get anywhere, fairly cheap, even if you buy the dollar store ones, or those giant packs at the no name brands or whatever. But you stock up enough of them, it will keep you warm for a very long time.
Yep,
that's awesome. That's some really good points.
Yeah.
Oh, anybody have anything else that they want to add to the discussion? Anything that we've missed or not touched on yet for keeping warm in a grid down situation? All right. Yeah, I think we've covered some pretty good ground. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, all I can think of is, if you're going to block off an area, I don't want to say everything in there, but as much in there as possible. So, don't open up a door because you're going to lose a lot of heat in that, quick opening and closing. So like, yes, you're going to use the bathroom, but, you know, oh, I want to go get this. Oh, I want to go get that. Or, oh, I don't have a pencil with me. You know, try and have a bin or two, or, you know, pre-plan your scenario
Hold on.
or area.
Hold on. Are you suggesting that we plan for preparedness and we have a plan
Yes.
together?
So
and
have
we're
a
ready
bin
for
or
a
two.
situation?
Have a bin or two, throw those bins in, set up your heat source, block it off, you know,
Yep.
just try and avoid getting in and out, and have all your stuff there, and bring all your pets in. I mean, I've got 2 horses that live in the house. Well, I mean, they're dogs, but they're gigantic, you know, so I mean,
Same here. I have a Great
Pet-
Dane.
no, we've got 2 mastiffs.
Oh, that's awesome.
As a guy that
Yeah.
has a horse, I'm sitting here like, and my brain was like, "What the hell?"
well, you saw the picture of the 2 dogs, right? Like, one's birthday today. But I mean, like, if you've got animals that you don't have to worry about, you know, where they go to the bathroom or whatever, I mean, get them in. Like, your dog will be a heat source. I don't know.
Mhm.
You know,
true,
like,
yeah.
you've
A
never had a
huge heat
dog
source
fly
too, I
next
think.
to you. Jesus, you can sweat up a storm, all depending on the night. So I mean, get everybody in there, you know, snuggle up and stay warm.
Yep.
It's awesome. All right, let's move into the podcast challenge then. So your challenge for this episode is find a way to heat your home or a room in a grid down situation, plan for it, and have it ready to go in case you need it for this winter or the next. All right, upcoming events. So we've got the London, Ontario Preppers is putting on an information session. They've got a couple of speakers. That's happening at 615 Baseline Road East in London on October the 22nd. It starts at 9 a.m., ends at 5 p.m. There is a cover charge to get into this event. It's $15 a person or $20 for a family. If you're looking for more information on that, you can flip an email to info@ontariopreppers.ca. You can also just visit ontariopreppers.ca for that event. So if you're in the area of London, go check it out. Got a weather blurb, Jeff.
Yeah, so we've all seen the devastation that both Hurricane Fiona and Ian have caused. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all those affected and those who've lost their lives. We could debate all night about this, and I don't want it to become that. I just want to say, make sure that if you intend to ride out a major storm and not evacuate, that you are prepared both mentally and physically for what might happen. There's been a large number of deaths from Ian, or Hurricane Ian, not our Ian, although he may go around killing people. We have no idea. He's kind of that upset kind of guy.
That got dark real quick.
Don't worry, though. He's prepared for a very long time for it.
He is.
Yeah. The death toll, they're continuing to rise in areas where mandatory evacuations were in place. I get it. Leaving is a tough call. But you really have to weigh that against losing your life.
Yep.
Staying, you may not get help for several days. And it just irks me a bit, the mainstream media. They're going around finding the people that stayed, and they're, complaining that nobody was there to help them and they weren't coming out there to help them. And,
Although they were warned a few days prior to get out.
Exactly.
You were told to get the fuck out. Now you're complaining about it.
I see the merits on both sides, but from a first responder side of it, if you had an opportunity to get out and you didn't, why should I be risking my life to come and save you? I know that's a controversial statement, but that's the way I feel. So, and we'll just leave it at that. Like I said, we could debate this all night, but
when it gets to the point that they're warning you to say that police, fire, ambulance is backing out and they will not be coming, that's usually a clue. Usually, but yeah, it is a very controversial topic that can start all kinds of debate and such. But solid advice. There's that fine balance, and there's that line in the sand, and you just need to know when you are willing to hop over that line and leave. And when you want to stay put, that's your own personal call, and you make it make the best call that you think is the best one for you.
So there are presently 2 tropical disturbances in the Atlantic Caribbean basin area that may develop into something. It's too early to know right now, but as always, keep your eye on the weather, and especially if you're down in the, hurricane prone areas of southern United States or whatever. I've thrown a link in there to Fox Weather where they just have a quick thing about it. And Josh had mentioned it when he asked me, but I'm going to put it out there again. It's that time of year. The temperatures are changing. Eric said it as well. So it's time to make sure that your heating equipment is in good working order, whether it be your furnace, your wood stove, whatever kind of a heater. You don't want to find out when it's -10 that your furnace all of a sudden has decided it doesn't want to work. So just make sure all your equipment's in good working order.
Yeah, and it's for safety too, right? Because the whole carbon monoxide thing. Oh, there's 3 times in this episode. Alan's going to be so happy.
Yeah.
All right. Deal of the week this week. So Canadian Tire's got the Motomaster 3000 lumens detachable tripod LED work light on sale. So in typical fashion from Canadian Tire, regular price is $239.99. The sale price is $79.99. So link is in the show notes there if you're looking for a new work light. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Chances are the $79.99 is the actual price. It's should be listed at, but that's pretty much how Canadian Tire works, I believe.
Yeah, I believe Brad went out and got himself one, if I'm not mistaken. He had mentioned it in our chat.
Is that why he's not here tonight? He's checking it out.
Yeah, he's blinded.
He's blinded. Yeah, I can't get here. Can't see. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, anybody on the? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, from the sounds of it, that's not a bad option, especially since it's rechargeable.
Yeah, it's a rechargeable setup. It doesn't have to be plugged in to be used. It's got USB ports on it, so you can charge your mobile devices and fill your addiction, and
or just your socks,
or just your sock. Yeah, that's an option too. Yeah. Warm up your feet and light up the world. There you go. All right. Anybody on the panel got any shout outs?
I got one. Down here in the comments, we got Aaron Cole. That's actually one of my old team leaders here at Third ID. So just good what's up to him.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else?
I'll give a quick shout out to Brad. Brought me a new pair of boots, courtesy of Eric. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't get invited to this coffee meet, considering I live like 5K from Eric. But anyways, that was Brad. No, I was going to blame it on Brad.
I was not part of this. I was not part of this discussion. But
I didn't get invited for coffee. I'm a little upset.
Oh man. Well, we will battle this out, not live on. We'll get the boxing gloves out. Tune in next week to see who wins. All right. For email and iTunes reviews, the inbox was dry, so that's nothing to read out there. So with that, I will bring episode number 179 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. Please help us out. Submit a review. It does help other people find us.
And we do record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we're going live. You can reach me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I am frequently on the Discord.
Yep. You can reach me on Discord or at inspiredveteran@gmail.com.
You can reach me on the Discord app as well, or at crossrifleranch@gmail.com.
You can find me off the wall customizing at gmail.com, on the Discord from time to time, or on the other CPP on Monday nights where I discuss why I hate government, as my intro said.
All right. Please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. I also tend to hang out in the Discord, more so now that Ian is not there. I hang out there a lot more. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us this evening. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and
let's
keep
run.
learning.